We're
Is it
live,
working?
baby.
We're live. Is the car on fire there? I see I see some cigarette
Kind of
smoke.
was.
Rad
Yeah, it
Ray
was on fire,
Terrell
man.
is here with me today. Rad Ray. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, Mr. Chad Boss? How's it going, brother?
Not too bad. Nice to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you live in person before. I think it's always been talk, talk, talk or text, obviously, but first time
Really?
seeing your face live in person. It's good.
It's just scary. It's
A
scary,
little
isn't it,
bit,
man?
yeah, yeah. I'm just getting
That's
over a
awesome,
cold too, so if I sound and look terrible, yeah. If I sound and look terrible, bear with me. I'm getting over a big cold.
man. Oh, you're all good, man.
Yeah.
Everything's good, man.
Awesome. Awesome, man. It's good to talk to you. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we last spoke. Last time we talked, like officially, was last year, I think, or a year
Yeah.
before when we did your last record. But this, I'm going to show it for people who are watching the video. You know what this is. This is your latest record. Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to talk about that, man. All about the process of that. I want to get into it. This is your, if I'm coming if I'm wrong, but this is your 10th record, right?
10th album, yes.
Yeah, 10th album. Awesome.
10th official one. Let's put it that way.
What's that?
10th official one. Yeah.
Official. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I got on board on 10,000 Elephants. I got on board with the last record, Appalachia Voodoo Factory. But I got to tell you, man, this one, I love 10,000 Elephants. The last one, I liked a lot of stuff, if I'm being honest with you, because we're friends. But this one, man, like I told you, I'm not just telling you because you're here in front of my face. This one blew me away.
It smokes on it, man.
Yeah, it's
I'm
very, very
glad,
cool.
man. I'm glad you like it, man. I mean, we, being the writers and stuff like that, and the musicians on it, you're always. I mean, I would hope that you would think that that's your best, some of your best stuff, or you're proud of it. But it's just so nice to hear somebody like you say that, man. I'm telling you,
No, I appreciate
it
that,
really
man.
is, man.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that's what we spend $50,000 for. That one pat on the back right there, man. You know,
This right here. The back
that's
for people
it,
can
man.
see, yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
fronts, I mean, we'll get into it too because I want to dig deep into this record while I have you. I mean, the cover, I didn't expect it. I don't think I saw it online. I never actually saw the cover until I got it in the mail and I kind of like, wow,
Well,
that's
actually, the
freaked
album's
me
not
out.
real. The album is on download sites right now, but it's officially not going to be out till next month.
Okay, so it comes out in April then. April the do you have a
Yeah,
date?
towards the end of April, right there. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yes.
So the last thing, yeah, so what people can find now is the single, I guess, Cut the Lights Out. That's out right now. That's making the
You can
rounds, right?
actually find the whole out. I know it's kind of funny, but when you print these things and you do all your paperwork, well, your actually online information you have to do, you have to put a date down there. And for anything to go up, you have to say that at least that current date or a date in the past. You know what I mean?
All right.
So it automatically will soon as they're done with everything, it's going to upload it if you put that date on there. So we wanted something out there because sometimes, man, when you record an album, you want to kind of delay it some and everything. Well, you can never find. You can give somebody send a station an MP3, but nobody can find that, and people are trying to find it on Spotify. They're trying on Audio Mac. They're trying on Apple or
Yeah.
iTunes, and they can't never find it. And you kind of need it on there. You know what I mean? So I kind of wanted everything up. I wanted people, I wanted to mail it out to all the radio stations, all our social media places that we have, our media outlets. And that way they've got it. And like you, they're listening to it because sometimes it takes a while for everybody to get to it because
Yeah.
there's 100,000 releases a month coming out,
Oh God.
and
Yeah. It's insane.
at least,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing a number out there. I know there's
Yeah.
at least that probably 25 to 30% of them's got some major backing and the rest of them don't. So
Yeah.
you got to get your stuff out and be seen. And that's the thing. You got to be friends with somebody on the station or at least something to where they're going to grab onto it. And we've done our homework in the past as much as we could. So we got people like you that's already picking it up, listening to it, and going to give us an honest opinion because, hey, you don't like it? Tell me. It's not going to hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? The thing is, I know I did it. I know it's out there. I know you listen to it. And whether you say you don't, half the people out there is going to doubt that. So
Yeah.
they're going to go listen to it. So you never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
For
at least
sure.
it's out there and everybody's hearing it. And then by the time the release happens, you're not just people are going, what is that for? What's going on there? And they kind of know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Are you still being backed? Are you still on Curtain Call Records? Are they still in your corner?
Yeah, they're still in the corner. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear because I know you signed with them. I guess on the last record was the first record with them, I believe, right? Appalachia.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's put it this way. Curtain Call, they've done some good stuff with us, and yes, on the last record we signed with them, and on this one got with John and Gigi, and they're doing radio promotions and stuff for us on this one as well because we did pretty good on the last one, so they're still with us, and they know that we promote like hell, so.
Yeah.
What more to help promote them and them promote us and keep working hand in hand with each other. I mean, we're always open for something bigger, and they know that too. And they're always looking for something bigger for us to get onto a platform. So, but in the meantime, it's good to have somebody with you, at least doing something with you.
Yeah, for sure. And the last
That
record is
they're not stealing your stuff or anything like that. And they're not
yeah,
like that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's the whole thing.
yeah. They're transparent
They're
and they're
good
working with
people.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, they got a
that's
lot
good.
of bands on the labels, and all labels do. And it's hard to even. I know everybody has good intentions to help you, but it's hard to take equal time out for if you take equal time for every band you have hardly no time for any band.
Yeah,
So you gotta be out there and you gotta try to promote. You gotta make yourself stand out, even though like we're mailing out CDs to places. We're on there with them doing social media together and doing things, and they like that. So they like it to see us being aggressive, and so they're right there in our corner, to help us out
yeah. That's one
as
thing
much as
about
they
you.
can.
Yeah, that's one thing about you I know is that you're always out there since the beginning of the band. I would say you've been out there, you've been pushing it for so long. You're the constant member of the band since like '84, right? So you've always been out there promoting this band and pushing
Yeah,
it and working 24/7, making sure people know that you exist and making sure they know your music's out there. That's what I was saying about
yeah,
the last record. I think kind of got lost a bit too, if we're being honest. And things were getting back after COVID. People were getting back to doing shows. People were starting
yeah.
to come out of their shell. I know you did some shows on that, but I think maybe a little bit got lost in the shuffle. Do you think that's fair to say?
Well, yeah, some things got lost on the last one, but we did get a lot of stuff off of that one. I mean, a lot. And that's what helped kick this one into the forefront. But the 10,000 Elephants and the self-titled before that, now those two right there kind of got lost in the shuffle. Not completely. There's a lot. We actually got a lot of footwork done during COVID. We did not sit around and just mope and we can't do nothing. Dude, we had a
Yeah,
lot of stuff ready, and it was like, whoa, my drummer's like, dude, let's get it out. And we rolled on it.
deadlift. Yeah,
So I mean, and that's what we did. And actually the printer was working, and so we kind of did a lot of that and did a lot of homework and stuff. And we had altered the name of the band from MX to MX the Superhero. I mean, I'm sorry, we got a comic book series called MX the Superhero, but
oh
we named it to MX the American and added that to it, which helped a lot in social media and being able, because it's hard to keep up with just two letters. And plus, everybody that logs on with that name or anybody has put that name or used that name on anything, it's hard to keep control of that. Even though I had a trademark back in the '80s, but
yeah.
it just the American, because everybody's going, are they from America? Is that the band from America? That so I'm like, why don't I just
Hard
put
to
that on
tell.
there instead of having parentheses and quotes around your name and stuff like that, or having to put some letters beside your name. Man, it just worked so good. It just opened up the doors a lot, man, by doing that, man.
Yeah, West Virginia,
Yeah,
proud and true.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, buddy, and Atlanta, Georgia too. Georgia,
Well,
Georgia
that
boys.
well
Yeah,
that's what helped me move. It helped me. It was moving up here. It's
yeah,
been able to have some solace and time to where in a place to where it was not so chaotic and stuff. Now I go back all the time. I just got back from Atlanta. I'm out to a lot of cities. I go to Detroit, up to Philadelphia. I go all over the place. But if I go and I come back here, and
yeah.
that's the good thing right there because it clears my mind. I can do everything from right here because of social media
Oh yeah,
basically,
right
except for
from your
play a live
car.
show. Yeah,
Right from your
exactly.
car.
Exactly. Right from my car. I
Yeah, rock
drive
and
around
roll.
the country and do interviews, man.
I'm gonna try that next time. I think I'll get in my car next time if I can and try and do one. You're inspiring
There
me.
you go.
Yeah,
Oh,
from the
you
old
can do it,
Chevrolet
man.
Brews, live from the
That's it.
Chevrolet Brews.
There you go, man.
Let's talk about the record, man. So you jumped right into this. Talk to me about where it started, where the concept came. I want to dig deep into it. So when did you guys start getting together? Did you get together in Georgia? Did you get together in Virginia? Where did it start?
This album here.
Yeah.
Well, this album. Let's see. What happened was is we'd done Blue Ridge Rock Festival, We
Yep.
had done Metal in the Mountains. And after that, a couple people got sick here and there. And it's like, we were going to beef our setup some because had a couple of new guys in the band, Ray Godman on guitar and Jeff Bender on bass.
Yeah, I saw
And,
that.
who I used to be the bass player, but I wanted to
Yes,
be
I want to talk to
just
you about
be
that too. I was
just
going to
wanted to
ask
be
you.
front guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got to thinking, everybody was like, well, let's do something off the second album. Let's do something off this album. Or, and I'm like, why don't we got a moment here? And it's Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up. Why don't we just start putting a couple of things, new things together? That way everybody's on something. And they said, well, okay, well, what we got? So I threw out a couple things, and Ray Godman, who he did on some rhythms, and I said, "Well, okay." So me and him started sending a couple things back and forth, and we would go to rehearsal, and we just start kind of jamming. I think we did like we came up with like broken or cut the lights out one day. I went down. I said, I'm going to play rhythm guitar today. So it's like I jumped in on guitar and me and Ray and I started whipping out some riffs. And that's how Cut the Lights kind of started. And then Broken, he had Broken right there. So I started playing guitar to that. And we started getting those two songs together. And then following that was Falling Apart. That popped into the equation there. And so we started getting those together, the 4 or 5 practices during, I would say, during Thanksgiving, Christmas area, New Year's of just past year. And then we, it was a little time right there in between there that for some reason we couldn't get together for about a month or something like that. So Ray and I Ray started writing a couple of rhythms he had, and he sent them over to me. And so I was like, well, that one sounds good. Or, no, let's don't do this one. Let's do this one. I like this other one that you got. And he goes, well, what do you want on this? So I said, well, I just started kind of breaking it down, man. Give me 8 bars of this, give me 4 of this, and then we kept, going over, and Ray's like, that's not enough stuff in there. We need to do a lot more parts. And I'm like, no, no, no. We want to do it simple. Simple is better. Less is more. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? A lot of
exactly.
times. So we just started, putting like Sun Sedano, started, I think,
Great song.
yeah, Jupiter's Rising, that kind of came in towards the end there. But
Yeah,
there
we
was,
need to talk
the
about
other
that.
songs that came in on there, there was like Aggressive, Sun Sedano, Too Happy. Too Happy was another one, I think, in the rehearsal room before we started working on. So what we did before we had the last ones, I kind of jumped ahead. When we had the first 4 songs down, or started getting those done in rehearsal room, the lull time was we said, hey, dude, this studio that we were going to called Rex Tracks in Atlanta, they got a good drum room. And so we said, well, you know what? They're talking about selling the studio. And I'm like, well, dude, I want to use that drum room because we used it on the last album too. And I
Right.
thought, well, let's do that before they get rid of that studio or sell it over, because they weren't sure exactly what they were going to do, but they were thinking about it. So I'm like, so we ran down to the studio and we laid the live track or the drum tracks for Falling Apart, for Broken, for Cut the Lights Out, and Too Happy. We had those down, just the rough tracks. And then after that, we started kind of working on those at that studio. But what we thought about, me and Ray sending tapes back and forth on Google Drive link and stuff through Messenger, and kind of building on those some. We started, he sent me some other rhythms. So we went up putting a drum track down then on the next songs, and we started building the different parts and everything. Ray and I did. And then we would send those over to Dutliff, who is our drummer, Dutliff Von Calvin.
Yeah.
And he would start working on some drum tracks at his house. That's where we rehearsed. And then send them over to Jeff Bender, who was our bass player. And so he started working on stuff at his house. So once we got some things down, we said, well, hell, let's just go in the studio now and lay these drum tracks down and get those done. So that's what we did, got that done. And in the meantime, when we were laying the last 3 songs down at the studio, the drum tracks, we in between laying the drum tracks on the songs, me and Melvin jumped in and started laying vocal tracks, man, on all the other stuff. So we kind of get everything structured good, and then Ray kind of took that with him, and he's got his own little studio at his house, and he started working on guitar parts, because we wanted to do a lot of layering and stuff. And so he started working on that there. And after we got those all laid, as many tracks as we could at Rex Tracks. We went over to my guy Hugh Harris' place, and that's
Hmm.
the guy. He's the sound. He does all the sound for like Family Feud, for Divorce Court, for Billy
Right.
Corgan, for
Yeah,
Smashing
yeah.
Pumpkins, his World Wrestling Alliance, and Shaquille O'Neal's Trash to Treasure. But anyway, went to his place. Same guy we did the last album. I've done like 8 or 9 albums with this guy. He's just badass, man. And so we went over to his house and started working on the putting all the tracks in, getting everything ID'd, set up and everything, and then start putting in all the parts. And then Ray would send him parts in between us being down to rehearsal, or me when I'm back home, he could send them back over to him. And then we had Richard Dobbs, that's on the album. He's on the last one and the second album. He's
Mm.
played with me a lot over some years. He's out in LA, and he had been stayed out there after we left LA and moved back east, and he ended up, we wanted to bring him on the album there also, because he's just a lot of identification on this with this band, and he's just a badass lead player. So anyway, we
Yeah.
brought him in to do some leads on some stuff and a little bit of rhythm. But Ray did the majority of he did almost all the rhythms on everything, and he did some of the leads, like on Cut the Lights Out, all this different stuff on Falling Apart. He did most part of the leads and stuff on Too Happy, and all the stuff on Broken. So Richard's on half the album, but it all worked together. We had as much as we could lay down there, and we had him to put a few parts in, and we kept working on the album over the period of this past year. We got finished with it right before Family Feud was about to start, because you can't. He's locked down for like 3 or 4 months when he's doing
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. He'd be
he just
trapped. He'd be
got
stuck
finished
if he
with it.
couldn't. Yeah.
So our goal was by the end of, well, we was hoping to have something. We were thinking about doing that single, the first single, about Labor Day-ish around there. And it's like, but we kept coming up with something else we wanted to do on the album, something. So it just took a little while longer. We weren't trying to rush nothing. We wanted it to be perfect, and wanted it to be, just I wanted it to sound raw, but actually developed. I know it sounds crazy, but more in the hard edge on it, but not thrash. But I mean, it's kind of cuts on some of that in places, and
Oh
it
yeah.
cuts on. I mean, there's from like serious stuff, depression issues in it. There's happiness in it about writing rock and roll, how you write your songs. There's psychotic crap in here, dude, like on Jupiter's Rising and different stuff. But those are all true stories, though, man.
Oh really?
Believe me, that's
Okay.
oh yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to. I'm gonna hit you with that in a second. But to me, to my untrained non-musician ears, the sound of this record just sounds so full and so lot and so. It sounds organic, but it sounds so well produced. Like it sounds so full. There's a lot going on in this record. It sounds like the best record you've done as far as sonically, to my ears. It
I
sounds like a
appreciate it, man.
really full record, especially on
That
songs
means
like Happy and Sun Sedano. I can tell there's like these bigger choruses. There's like this more melodic sense that's come into your singing and
yeah.
Melly's rapping and the songs, the guitar tones. Like there's so much fuller sound, if I could say it like that.
Oh yeah, I had him. Yeah, he's a badass guitar player, man.
Yeah.
Ray is. He did most of it, but like I say, Richard came in on it. But
Yeah.
Ray, he came in with all the rhythms and stuff, and he's got a badass setup, man. So, and he's got a good ear, and he's got some killer amps. Actually, Sun Sedano, that name of that song, that's our creation. What
Yeah.
that was,
What is the
yeah.
Sun Sedano?
Sedano is actually an amplifier. Okay.
Okay.
Soldano amplifier. Well,
Okay.
Ray has a bunch of different amps, and he uses for different rhythms and stuff. So, or a different amp for different ones. And so it was happened to be on a Sunday. We're sending stuff back and forth. And so whenever he got some parts down and he was sending them to me, he put Sunday on there, and then he put Soldano. And I was like, and then as we kept talking about the song, because we didn't name it yet, like, well, we had to come up with that name. And I'm like, one day we hyphenated Sunday, and it was right there stuck next to that. And I was like, he goes, what's the name of this song? I said, it's Sun Sedano. And he goes, oh, cool. That's a cool name. Would you get that?
It is.
I'm
Yeah.
like, it's your amplifier, man.
It
No,
sticks in your head. Yeah, it sticks in your
Oh,
head
yeah. And
because
it's
you have to
actually, yeah.
you have to
It's a
think about
cool
it. Yeah.
name.
It's cool. It sounds like this record came together pretty quickly for the way it sounds and the high production values and the way it sounds so cohesive. It sounds like it came together really fast, but yet it sounds like it took you years to work on. If I can, if I can say that, it sounds like a long produced record, but it's not. That's what I find interesting. The
Well, really,
contrast.
about a year. About a year it took. I mean, but it really we wasn't on it.
It sounds faster. Like you guys
In
got
our
together, you're
mind,
writing songs
yeah,
quicker, and then it just all came together naturally,
yeah.
so quickly.
Because in our mind, I mean, we're always working on stuff in our head, But realistically, I mean, it took. I mean, I would say probably. I mean, I'm just going to say the year because when we started kind of mulling over it, just around almost Thanksgiving, and then it was by almost around Thanksgiving we were just about done. We were on the final mixes in December on some of them, and we started mixing actually, and I think in August we started and got the first couple of mixes, but
That's
then I wanted to
2022
wait till
last
we
year.
got it
We're
done.
talking, right? For
Yes. Oh
clarity.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, me and Melvin were out in Los Angeles then, and he was sending the stuff out there, and I was out there with Richard, and we were getting together with him there
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah, it did come together. I mean, to us it seemed like it took forever, but because you're so excited wanting to get it something done and out,
Yeah.
and and they were excited because it's the first thing they were on, and well, as far as in this band, and but everything worked out really good, man. And Hugh, he is a perfectionist on everything, and which like us, but you're trying to work with like six or eight different minds, and that's a tough one right there when you're trying to get the best out of each person,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I can
myself,
imagine. Yeah. I
yeah.
can just imagine. Ray, you brought it up a couple of times now, so I'm going to dig into it right here and now. Jupiter's Rising. I gotta know that that track shocked me. It's different for the MX. I'll admit I don't know your whole catalog, but from what I've heard up to the last three albums, or this one included, this one is definitely a departure. And I'll say that because it's long, it's a little bit proggy if you think about it. But the spoken word intro, the rap, your stuff at the beginning, is that one take? I want to pull the curtain back. Is that one take? Did you write that down? And you said it's a real experience. Talk to me about how that came together. Because I got
Let
to
me
know.
tell you,
Now, what are you doing out there in Westby?
Ray had this little riff, that rhythmatic riff, and he was saying, well, maybe I got this little thing here, maybe we can write something to it. And I'm like, I said, well, put that aside. I said, I like the way that sounds, and it was just small riff, and he just played it one time through, so he kind of put it over to the side. So right before we went in the studio, we were in the rehearsal room, and we were getting down to where we needed to come up, the last couple of songs. And I was like, well, that riff that you have, right? Let's play that riff, man. And I want just show Jeff that bass line, and maybe we can come up with some other stuff on the guitar. And we was thinking about making it a bass line out in my mind. But so he showed Jeff, and Jeff's playing it on bass, and Ray was playing guitar, and then Dutliff jumps in on drums right then. And I don't know, I would say a little bit of that popped in my head because they were just playing it together, and just a lot of different reps of it. And so I'm just standing on the mic going, blah, 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 and next thing you know, I started coming, I started wording in a couple of things. And then in my mind, I was thinking, wow, that don't sound too bad what I'm doing, I don't think. And so we actually record most of our rehearsals, or at least part of them.
Right.
And later on, I guess those guys had heard that. They were like, oh, you got to write something to that. That was kind of cool, So we just kind of messed with that just for a little while that day. And we didn't mess with it no more. So I just told them, well, I say the next rehearsal, we, just went through it a little bit because it's the same rhythmic things all the way through. So as far as the basic rhythm. So when we got in the studio and we were doing those last drum tracks, I said, all right, man, that little run that we were doing, I want you guys just to play that thing and do not want to be finished with it before we get started. I mean, when you start playing it, let's just play it. And they go, okay. And well, at that moment, I was thinking I'd have had nothing for that, And I was like, I kind of had a twinkle from what I had said in the jam room, but I was thinking I needed to write something down or, kind of like script something out. But I told them, I said, you guys just play that for a long time. And if anything, they go, well, no, you need to sing something to it or do something. And I'm like, I was like, I really need to kind of pull more together on this right here before we do it. And they go, well, dude, we just need to know what you need to do and when it changes or crescendos or whatever. And I'm like, I said, I tell you what, I'll stand up and I'm just going to mumble something. And when I count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's going to be like it going into another verse or something. And I kind of was just doing that for like a ledger in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the song, I wouldn't
like a
really count a
placeholder.
lot.
Yeah.
So placeholder, exactly. So it was just weird. I told him I didn't really feel like really rapping nothing. I didn't feel bad that day, but I was, it's kind of like blah a little bit. You're kind of burnt, and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And you're sitting there. But dude, I'm telling you, those are the days it seems to me like I do some of my better shit, man.
Wow.
It seems to, when I look back on it. And so I stood up and I'm in the vocal booth up there, and as soon as they started, I was like, we were more concerned about the bass player. He wanted to do a line, did not do one, then do one, then not do one, which was cool. So I said, all right, do that right then, and I'll just come in with something. And dude, that's how it all happened, just like that. As soon as they started playing it, I just started rapping off stuff, talking. I talked that whole thing all the way through, and I did not recut anything on that, dude. Not one
Wow.
item was recut. The only thing added in that song was the Rio parts later on,
Yeah, yeah.
the part where Melvin had his part, because Melvin was like, "Oh no, I was telling him you need to do something here." He goes, "Man, I don't know what to do on that."
Well,
He goes,
yeah, you took over the
"Like
whole
it is."
thing. Like, what's left?
I said, "No, no, there's something
Let's
in
have
there,"
a
because he's always
conversation.
telling me that.
Yeah.
Mel was always telling me, "No, I don't need to be on that song. Well, I'll be on this one." I'm like, "No, no, no, you're gonna be on every song, And it's
Yeah, he
like,
was.
so anyway, so he ended up. We just went in the studio that day after I had laid that track. Another time when we went in, I said, "All right, man, when we get going right there, Mel, just jump in this part over here and just question answer thing right there, man, on it." And he goes, "Well, where are we talking? We're talking about acid, ain't we? Are we talking about mushrooms or what are we? We are talking." He thought that's definitely what I was talking about, that or something like that. You know what I
We left
mean?
it a bit
And,
ambiguous on the
and
final cut. You don't
yeah,
specifically say, but it's a bad trip. We'll leave it like
I
that.
don't say no. What is just take
Yeah.
two, take
Take
two.
two of
You know,
these. Take two of
take
these, and you'll
two.
be fine. Oh, are you sure? That's too many? Two? That's a lot. That's stronger than I thought.
And
Oh shit.
it's kind of like the Cheech and Chong thing. But I want to tell you
Yeah.
what really happened, dude. A long time ago, I was at my house, man, and I hadn't done no shrooms and stuff in a long while, And it's like one day I was over at my boy's house. Me and my manager at that time, he's another black dude. He's a killer. His name's Mike. And we picked up a little herb, and we go back to the house. Well, that guy, he laid some of those shrooms on us, and it's been, like I say, it's been quite a while. But I went back to the house, man, and hell, I ate a couple caps, and he ate a couple caps and a couple of stems, and I didn't think that was going to really do much of anything, not much. And dude, I must have had like almost like an ulcer at that time, because that shit hit me so damn fast, man. And Cheech and Chong was on.
Oh, there you
And,
go.
and actually, it was weird as hell how that movie came on, and that all just happened. And we're like, damn, gee, yep. And so that kind of how it got started. I kind of jumped off of that deal right there. And then later on, when Shatner goes to outer space, and
Right.
when he done that right there, that was a big news kind of thing right there. And well, you're in outer space when you're on that shit. You know what I mean? Or anything like that,
Yeah,
And
yeah. I hear you.
even if it's still a life or whatever it is,
Yeah.
it may not be drugs or anything, but I kind of got the inspiration from that thing there. Ended up down at the hospital. My stomach was killing me. I
Oh
couldn't
wow.
stand it. And
Mr.
next thing you
Terrell,
know,
Mr. Terrell, hello. Come
and I ended up
around.
running out of the hospital and went back home before they
Oh,
ever
did
seen me
you?
or knew,
Oh,
you
so
know.
it's all true. Look at that. Look
Yeah,
at you.
well, that part of it, but the other part of it was like another thing combined with that. So, and then Melvin, him being the other singer and stuff, we've done a lot of things together, and you
Yeah,
know, so it's
that's
like
awesome.
it just worked out, man. And everybody was like, even the other guys in the band are going, "Wow, that thing's long." It's like, man, don't you think we need to do something here now? And I said, no, that thing's gonna be a cult classic, dude, one
Oh
day. And they go,
yeah. Yeah,
but
they got the
now,
steady rhythm
dude,
behind it where you're going off.
yeah.
It's just a perfect blend. It's surprising. It's something that people wouldn't know. I encourage people to check it out when they get the record. You got to go to Jupiter's Rising and take a trip, literally,
And
with Rad Ray.
when you listen to the part later on when he goes Rio, it sounds like
Yeah.
it says Oreo,
Yes, I was going to
Rio,
ask you about that. Is that
but it don't say Oreo. But the way I
yes?
say
But it sounds
Rio,
like it.
it sounds like you're doing that,
I
man.
was going to
So it's
ask you,
like
I'm like, what is that from? That's originally from.
you think it's from
It's been in
Wizard of
movies.
Oz,
Yeah, it's been in a
Wizard of
bunch of
Oz.
things. Yeah, yeah. I was like, did you
Yeah, well,
grab
even
that?
I
But
think, but
yeah.
even Metallica did that, but
Oh
they
yeah.
all did that Oreo, and
Yeah.
I just did Rio,
It sounds like
Rio.
Oreo. or
Yeah, I
Oreos.
know it all fit
But it's
together, man.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
I had Richard, the other guitar player out in LA out there. I said, dude, I got this long song, man. I'm
yeah,
going to send it over to you, man. And I said, we got an I sent him an interface and stuff, and he's got that in the mic and all the stuff to record from to our system in Atlanta. So
hmm
so he said, well, when I went out there, he says, oh yeah, I laid a few things. I didn't really know what to do in that song, but I just put some little wows and stuff in there, and in some of
yeah,
the breaks and stuff. And I'm like, well, what was it? And I couldn't really get to hear it because Hugh was gone then, and I couldn't. He had done uploaded it, and I could never hear it from what we were listening back on it, with. So I had to go a month and a half or almost 2 months, man, before I heard it. But then
yeah.
when I heard it, I was
Wow.
like, that sounds killer, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then when we put that together, it just and then I had
Amazing.
Hugh do this different effect on keys, and it's got that real spacey sound. And we used like a joystick, man, and just rode that thing different sounds in there, man. So it sounds like you're in outer space.
Oh
Sounds
yeah.
like you're landing, taking off. It's cool. It just worked out great, man.
Yeah,
And
there's
we're
a
getting
lot.
so much response off
Yeah,
that
yeah.
song, man.
There's a lot going on in that song, but it doesn't feel too busy. It sounds like it all fits, it all works well together. That's what I'm talking about with the high production. Like it sounds like it could be a mess, but it works out. It's just a perfect, beautiful, a little bit proggy song for MX the American, but I dig it. I can't encourage people to check it out enough. Do you think you'll play that song live, or are you going to leave that off on the shelf?
Well, I don't know. I was we thought
The
I
right
don't
though,
know.
you're going to need a teleprompter maybe, unless you can get that story burned in your head.
Yeah, well, you don't have to. I tell things really close. I mean, well, I sing the songs the way I got them down, but
Right.
and you always maybe add a couple things here and there, but that
You
song,
could have fun with it too if you did a live version. You could
I
change
just
it
have
up.
to do a different thing, because
Yeah.
if you're playing, I figured if you're playing out somewheres and you're getting intimate with the crowd and you're doing it and everything, you're going to actually maybe, be actually
Feed
one of
off
the
what they're
crowd right
doing
there
or
going, hey,
what's going
you
on, where
want
you
to?
are.
Too. You're like you're handing them the stuff
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
doing it, and you're
Yeah, yeah.
giving them the mic and me the mic. You kind of interact with the crowd with that a lot.
Yeah, that'd be cool for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I got you still because this thing is going to run out in about 6 minutes. But while I got you, I'm going to show it again. The album artwork, which is beautiful, man, but a little creepy. Talk to me about how the album artwork came together, the cover. What inspired you for that?
Well, actually, inspired me was I don't know. I'm into kind of like your life is energy and stuff, and basically most everything's like the world is a vampire,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean there. And
Yes.
so I'm just into the goth kind of thing a little bit, and that's the way I look at life anyway. And so I got this guy. His name is Mario Doomer Welt. If you look on the back of there, that's where the artwork came from. The guy's from
Yep.
Germany. The guy does all kinds of like great. He goes out and does photography for all the baddest graveyards, the baddest museums. He's on
Nice.
Instagram and all too. If anybody just Mario Doomer Welt. So I was looking at this artwork and I had a little problem with the 10,000 elephants elephant. And that's kind of how I ended up. I was already thinking of this guy because I always liked on his stuff. But then when we used that, it was another guy from Germany on the elephant, and we thought it was public domain. Found out that it wasn't later on. We ended up having to
Oh.
change the cover. We changed the cover on it. I'll end up sending you a new album with the
Oh, so
cover,
the one
but
I
a
have
different cover.
is a different cover now?
Now, right, yeah, now right there is going to be a collector's item, like
Oh.
a big time right there. The
Yeah,
one you
send it
have,
my way. I'd like
you
to
won't
check it
see.
out.
There was only a few hundred of those made at
Oh
all,
wow.
and those were sent out to DJs mostly.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you guys got something that very few other people have. But
Cool.
that album there was having some problems with it, and that guy's from Germany, and so it's just kind of weird how they were both. And this guy comes up because one day I saw some artwork he had, and I was like, damn, man, I love that artwork because I mean we do a lot of our own stuff. You know what I mean? Most of the time, we'll
Right.
come up with our own artwork and stuff.
Mhm.
But just something was grabbing me on his stuff, and I like the graveyard kind of stuff, and I like the setting because I mean we're all going that way, and we're all um, since my son got killed and stuff, it's even more prevalent in my mind and stuff. And it's like
Mhm.
I'm not don't want to die, but you think of it a lot, man. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot more there, and that, but yet when you when your vehicle here goes away, your energy's still going to be here. So That's
Hmm.
kind of like in the vampire way of looking at things, and also the werewolf kind of thing, and where you don't die, you just keep moving on and you stay here and stuff. And the goth overall deal is more in the black and white view, and to me, and so all that kind of coming together right there in my mind and stuff, and I've kind of looked through a lot of different artwork, and that right there was just grabbing me, man. And so that's where that cover came from with the vampire. He's actually a vampire cherub on the
Oh,
front
what?
right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, I'll show it again
And
here for
so it's
people.
not
Yeah,
it's
because it's
not a
got that
little
face, right? I'm just looking
yeah,
at it
it's
now when you talk about it.
Frankensteinish kind of, yeah, but
Yeah, but
it's
it's got
not
that
just a
small
little
cherub
boy.
face, right? Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Never noticed that
The
till you said
back
it.
of it has a cemetery, and if you notice
Yeah,
on the back of it,
we'll
there's
show it again
five
here.
graves. There's
Yes.
five graves, and
Yeah.
there's actually five people in the band right now on there.
Well,
You know.
yeah. What are you trying to say?
Well, I just wanted us
This is the
all to have a
final
cross.
record from MX the American.
I just wanted us to have a cross to get off of every morning.
Yeah,
That's what
there
I
you go.
wanted.
I
Yeah,
got you.
I don't want nobody dying.
Yeah, no, I got you. I
Get
got
off
you.
the cross, buddy. And we need the wood.
Yeah. I feel you, man.
so
The
it just worked out really good together,
It's gorgeous
and stuff.
artwork, yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah. No, I
yeah,
get you. The only like again, because we're friends, I'll be straight with you. I love I love your packaging. I love this style of covers. I love these slip cases. They're really cool.
yeah.
The only thing I really miss, and maybe one day you'll do something differently, but I love having booklets with lyrics and production credits and stuff. I know you have stuff on there anyway, but I like full booklets.
I do
Do
too,
you
man.
think
But
you'll
you know
ever? I
what?
know there's a cost involved, but do you think you'll ever throw some
Oh
extras
yeah,
on
we
there?
will. We
Yeah.
will. Now we was wanting to do some vinyl on this right here, but you know how far
Oh,
vinyl out is?
yeah.
Is out. It's out almost a year, man.
Yeah,
Vinyl is to get it printed.
it's expensive, and there's a big delay on production for sure.
Oh yeah, man.
All across the country. Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually. I mean, it's 5 times the cost, and
yeah,
it's like three, and it's actually 12 times the length to get it. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
That's crazy, man.
It's
I love
great,
vinyl.
but yeah, me
I
too. It's
love
great,
vinyl. But
but
yes, I am. And actually, this next, nobody even knows this in the band but Melvin yet. I'm messing with you now. Everybody does. The song "Broken." I'm doing a lyric video on that, so people will be able to actually sing to that and stuff when that comes out. When we get it finished, that's
okay,
coming
cool.
out. That should be coming out here.
Before the release of
I
the
would
album.
say. You're right around that time right there because we want to cut the lights out is kicking it on the radio right now, man.
Yeah,
I mean that thing come out of the
it's on
gates,
here.
man.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah, yeah,
It came out of the gates, and I was like, "Holy crap, man!" And
yeah.
I'm checking my Twitter, I'm checking my Instagram, I'm checking my Facebook, and every day I'm getting lots of different DJs, and a lot of them are repeats, but it don't matter. Getting a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And
it
I like
deserves
it,
it.
man.
It's great. Cut the lights out. It's on YouTube right now. You can check it out. There's a visualizer. I think there's a video for it out there too. Is
No,
that correct?
there's a video on that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, actually, Brando Jones shot the video. It was my idea, and Brandon over there with Brando Jones. He's a really good team that they've got there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
we did down there. We did it down in South Carolina.
Nice.
At the Spinning Jenny, I think is where we did it at a few months ago, and that thing is gaining a lot of traction. We got a lot of advertisement going on that now. We got it probably in about. I mean, it's YouTube wherever YouTube is. It's available on YouTube, but we're
Yep.
actually promoting in about 30 different countries.
No, that's good. Well, it deserves all the recognition and attention. Man, this thing is going to, unfortunately, Zoom's going to cut me out in less than a minute here. I don't want to lose you. So
I'm
I'll
down
say,
with you.
I'll say goodbye to you now. We'll talk again. There's so much more I could have asked you.